Great news! There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
Everybody should be afraid of robots. But just don't kid yourself about where we're go look at all these robots. There's a Boston Research Center, I think, and a couple other places. They're all weaponizing these robots. They're having them do military things. They have them working with automatic weapons. If that doesn't freak you out, you have a problem.
Is it just us? Do the millennials feel this way?
The millennials don't feel anything.
Well, my son Mike is a millennial, and he said
I think he's on the back end of it, right? Isn't he?
I don't know.
I don't know what the age definition is. But hopefully they will. Hopefully they'll wake up to this. Elon Musk is very concerned about AI, artificial intelligence. So
he's concerned about it, or
he's concerned.
He part of it?
No, he thinks we need to pump the brakes.
Oh, okay.
He thinks we need to pump the brakes on the entire thing. Golic and Wingo with you on a Robot Wednesday on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can get in touch with us on the 100flowers.com Twitter feed at Golic and Wingo, or you can voicemail us in or call in on this line, 860-506-5505. We've got a lot to get to, Mike, as this hour of Golic and Wingo is brought to you by La Quinta Inns and Suites. Book at LQ.com and win at business. And let's start this hour with what's trending. And how about this? The Dodgers' Yasiel Puig and the Giants' Nick Hundley both ejected after a scuffle. Puig took a swing at Hundley, and both players were ejected during a benches-clearing brawl in the 7th inning Tuesday night. Puig swatted his bat in frustration after fouling off a pitch, and Hundley said something to him, and then Puig turned around, and then we got the, oh, yeah, you, and then it went.
So this is a batter and a catcher. Puig, was getting back in his stance. Hundley said something. They're face-to-face. Puig kind of pushes him in the chest. Everybody comes out. And then it turns into the normal baseball fight where nothing happens. But then Puig got away from his teammates and got back at Hundley, Hundley was being pushed away by someone as well. And Puig did. When a football player gets in a fight, the one thing you don't do, you don't take your helmet off. You leave your helmet on. And
Correct.
if you're fighting someone who obviously has their helmet on, what shouldn't you do?
Swing
Punch
at
that
them.
person in the helmet.
Yeah. Way to break your hand.
Puig had one shot. Now, that was all that was available to him because the one person pushing Hundley away. But Puig, at least he had the sensibility, maybe, unless he just that's the way he throws a punch. He did an open-handed punch right in the mask of Hundley, which is going to have zero effect.
Well, it's going to have an effect on his hand.
It could have an effect on his hand. It's going to do zero to Hundley. I guess luckily he didn't make it a closed fist and break a knuckle, which is something you certainly can do. But at least this baseball fight had a little bit of physicality. For the most part, it's just everybody holding one another and acting like they want to get at the other person.
Hold me back.
Hold me back. Hoping the person holding them doesn't let him go.
Yeah.
But Puig did get away from his teammates, so he was really going after Hundley and swatted at his catcher's mask.
Yeah. Good idea.
So, there you go.
Golic and Wingo reminding you baseball season continues to roll along. Tune in tonight as Mookie Betts and the Red Sox continue to roll over everybody as they visit the Phillies. Presented by Vivid Seats. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and the ESPN app. One quick thing about the Red Sox. If they play losing baseball for the rest of the season, they can still set the record for most wins in a season. That's how good they've been. From this point on.
Their record, the franchise record.
Franchise record. Right. They can go from August 15th on with a losing record, under 500, and still set the record for most wins ever by a Boston Red Sox team in franchise history.
It's impressive.
It's just ridiculous. Well, we're getting closer and closer to the start of the NFL season. We're in week 2 of the preseason. Starts tomorrow with Washington and the Jets.
That's on our air, right? That's going to be the debut of
Joe Tessitore,
Tess, Witten,
Jason
and
Witten,
Booger, and Lisa.
Boog.
Yeah, all together.
Everybody else.
For them.
So when Carson Wentz was asked on Tuesday if he would be ready for the Eagles' first regular season matchup against the Falcons, that's the Thursday night game on September 6th, the Philly quarterback said the decision, well, it won't be his, but it might be close.
That's been my goal. I think there's been really no secret that it's going to be close. Seeing where I'm at in camp and finally, hopefully next week doing 11-on-11, I think naturally it's going to be close. And ultimately it won't be just my call or coach's call. It'll come down to what the doctors say, really.
That all sounds wonderful,
yeah.
Right? And Carson Wentz was the second overall pick in the 2016 draft, right?
Yes.
Okay. My advice to him would look back to the second overall pick of the 2012 draft, and that would be RG3 of Washington. He injured his knee for the second time in that playoff loss to Seattle, where it just went out. You could tell it was just horrible, and the field was so messed up at FedEx Field. And his campaign was all in for week 1.
So this is a playoffs. This is in January, and Carson did his in December. Right? So
all in for week 1, all in for week 1. And he did the rehab to get ready for week 1. But for the next couple of years, Mike, he was never the same. And my thing is, this is why the Eagles didn't trade Nick Foles when they could have commanded a king's ransom maybe for Foles after his Super Bowl MVP winning performance against the Patriots in that 41-33 championship game. You didn't trade Nick Foles because you don't want to rush Carson Wentz. And I know Carson wants to get back out there and prove that I'm still the guy and all that kind of stuff. But take your time. I'd much rather you have 2 weeks later than 2 weeks too early.
Here's what you can't do is tell the player to take his time.
Correct.
Player's not going to take his time.
No, that's why it can't be his call.
It's exactly right. Player's going to rehab and go according to the rehab. And if he's doing more than the rehab, because usually it's under the tutelage of or under the care of the team, they will pull him back and say, don't go assess. Because players want to get back. I will never begrudge a player for saying, I'm going to be ready for week 1. Correct. Because that's what they want to play. This one's on the medical staff. This one's on the coaches. Because here's the other thing. The medical staff can say he's ready to go. Then they're done, right? Now the player wants to play. The medical staff says you can play. Now it's up to the coach. You say, okay, do we do this? And the first thing, we've had many coaches on talking about this. And one of the first things that a coach will ask the medical staff is, how susceptible is he into re-injuring?
Right.
Because you could be cleared, but there's a chance when you go back out there, it's tough to say you've recovered 100% from this, even though players come back sometime with the technology of today. You wonder, can something happen again? The players will always want to prepare for that. I completely agree. Listen, if he's not cleared, it's no question, but it seems like he's going to be cleared, and then it's going to be up to Doug Peterson and that staff.
Yeah.
You want to put him out there and play him. So I'll never blame the player. And if the medical staff, listen, it's pretty, I don't want to say cut and dry, but it can be cut and dry. This was damaged. We fixed it. This is healed to the satisfaction that we see that he could go play. All right, now it's the coach.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you wait even a little longer, or do you let him go and say, because some coaches will say, if the medical staff says he's cleared and he wants to play, he's playing. So I don't know where that all stands on the decision-making.
Well, one thing that may make it easier is both Peterson and Howie Roseman got contract extensions this offseason. Mm-hmm. So they know that they're going to be there for the foreseeable future, and they also know, as good as Nick Foles played in the playoffs, not so much in the end of the regular season, but in the playoffs, that he's not the long-term answer.
So let me ask you this question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because so many people are saying, wait. What if, and listen, we saw Adrian Peterson come back in 7 months.
He ruined it for everybody, by the way. He ruined it for everybody. Had a great year.
What if, in the Eagles situation, the truthful situation is the medical staff says, it's good to go. He can play.
Yeah.
And you know what? Whether it's week 1 or week 3, there's going to be no difference. His knee is ready to go right now. The rehab, the muscles around it that you have to keep strong or strengthen, he's good to go.
Yeah.
Why not play him then?
I think you have to play him if that's the situation.
I guess that would be it. If the medical staff says you're ready to go and he's ready to go, what would be your reasoning of waiting till week 3 or week 4?
Yeah.
If they say you're good to go right now.
Well, yeah, my thing is, Jimmy Johnson used to do this with his scouts. When they'd go evaluate players, they'd grind them. They'd go to the coaches and say, all right, they'd talk to them and they'd, but tell me what you really think. Tell me what you really feel. I mean, make sure you're giving me your gut. So the way I would say that if I'm Doug Peterson, make sure you talk to that medical staff like that. Are you 100% sure? Are you 1,000,000% sure that we're no risk of re-injury than we were if we waited 3 more weeks?
Right.
That's the way I would do it. Yeah, he's good to go. All right, but I need more than he's good to go. Are you willing to stake your reputation that this will not happen again because we brought him back too soon? That's the way I would handle it. And if then in that situation, if the medical staff says we can say conclusively that whether or not he has another injury, it won't be because he was brought back too early, then I think you do play him.
Yeah.
But again, not everybody is Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just an amazing thing.
He did ruin it for everyone.
And Deshaun Watson's in a similar situation, although his, I think, was in October.
Yeah, his was much earlier.
So he's got a better chance to start in September, I think, than Carson Wentz does. And we'll finish off what's trending with Des Bryant. heading to meet this week with the Cleveland Browns. They play their preseason home game against the Bills, and GM John Dorsey has told reporters that he's been trying to talk with him, and Dez Bryant wasn't returning his phone calls, and now Dez says, I'm going to meet with them. So what do you think what's going to happen
Well,
here?
what's interesting to me here is from the way Dez makes it sound that he has multiple teams calling him, right?
Yep.
That want his services. Cleveland's coming off 0 wins. So I don't think, even though we have seen one-year turnarounds, I think that when the Rams went 5 wins to the Super Bowl, we've seen miraculous turnarounds. I don't think people see that coming that quickly in Cleveland. And if he truly has other teams interested in him, I would imagine some of those other teams are farther along than the Browns are. Then it would be somewhat interesting to me on why you would choose to go there as opposed to a team that's a little closer to a title. Because Dez Bryant isn't what he once was. I think he still could be a valuable receiver, but he's certainly not at the apex of his game. So that would, I guess that would make me question, does he really have other teams, that many other teams interested in him out there? And then, the question of in that locker room. That locker room's a lot of young players. Antonio Callaway, the kid in trouble from Florida, and in trouble now with the arrest and the marijuana charge and things like that. And Josh Gordon, you don't even know when he's going to be back on the field. They kind of reshuffled. They spent money on the old line, but Petonio, the left guard, is now playing left tackle where Joe Thomas was. So they're kind of shuffling the line a little bit there. Is that the place to have that? We know Dez can be demanding. Do you want that in your locker room to go along with the young trying to rebuild that organization? I don't know. I think he can definitely help you on the field. I guess at the end of the day, if that's what Hugh Jackson's looking for, then you certainly can have a guy there, he and John Dorsey.
Yeah, if you are okay with everything that comes with Dez, but that could be a semi-combustible locker room.
Well, it can, especially when Baker Mayfield starts to play, which he will at some point. I got a rookie quarterback, and you may have Dez.
I'm here.
Yeah. It could get interesting.
Look, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what the Browns do after they have their meeting with Dez, and see if there are other meetings scheduled. Or usually that first visit, you tend to sort of land there and stick there if things are what you think they are.
The team really wants you, they'll try not to let you go, let you leave the
facility.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see what happens there. By the way, that's what's trending, and now it's time for the greatest segment in the history of radio.
It's the game show segment that's captivating a nation.
The origin is Latin. It has been sort of corrupted over time, like this show.
Making everyone that hears it smarter.
In the 1800s, English authors were likely to partake in opium den activities.
Now, with your host, researcher Brett.
Take a guess where that came from. Brett's got your answer.
It's Bretymology.
Here are the categories. Words and their meanings. That's straightforward.
Bretymology is brought to you by Discover Card, who will match all the cash back new card members earn at the end of their first year. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations do apply.
Limitations always apply, but there's no limitation to the knowledge that researcher Brett brings to Bretymology. Again, here are the official standings. He's going to come up with 4 phrases. What is the origin? One of them is real. One of them is not real. And we have to figure out which one is which. Ryan Hollins is the only perfect guy that's ever played Bretymology.
Well, it's 4 for 4.
Did it one time. Yeah, one time, 4 for 4. Jason Fitz, solid 75% out of a small sample, 8 of 12. I'm at almost 70%, 69%, nice. 36 for 52. Junior's at 53%, 21 for 40. You are smack down the middle, big boy.
I am. I'm average.
50%, 26 for 52. Mina Kimes, Chris Canty, Adnan are all 2 for 4. And bringing up the field, Jeff Saturday and Field Yates are 1 for 4 at 25%.
Feel free to use these later in the day or this weekend somewhere at the bars if you want.
Win a bet. Win some money.
Win a drink, win some bucks, whatever you can.
All right, Brett, here we go. What is the first phrase we are delving with?
Guys, I'm really excited today because we have a special edition of Bretymology. Bretymixology.
Oh, yeah.
Mixology.
I like it.
These are all drink origins.
Oh, Golic, you're screwed.
Number 1, Moscow Mule.
Oh, it's my favorite drink.
Golic's favorite drink?
Yes.
Was it a product of savvy entrepreneurship? Russian businesswoman Sophie Berezinski arrived in the U.S. in the spring of 1947 looking to expand the international business of the Moscow Copper Company. She approached New York City bartender George Simmons with an opportunity. Create a cocktail to be served in a copper mug, and he would get a cut of that summer's sales. The creation, named by Simmons joking about his role as a copper mule, was so popular that Berezynski sold all 5,000 mugs in her U.S. inventory that summer. Or was it an exercise in supply and demand? Smirnoff executive John Martin was having trouble drumming up demand for vodka in the United States. Then one night in 1941, he walked into Jack Morgan's bar in Los Angeles. The bartender had a basement full of ginger beer to get off his hands, so they joined forces to create this cocktail, which was served in a copper mug because Morgan's girlfriend at the time owned a copper goods company.
I feel pretty strongly about this one. Where are you going?
I don't think we ever had a problem with drinking vodka. So I'm going with one.
Well, yeah, first of all, when has that happened ever?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Really?
It's more of a recent trend, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I think, having been a Moscow Mule connoisseur over the years, I think I've heard the story about Sophie before, so I think it's one as well.
Cliff likes 1, too. We're going one.
One. Everybody's going one.
Number 2.
Wow!
Smoked.
Is it really?
It is. Your next drink, Negroni.
Yes, Negroni.
A Negroni.
Never heard of it.
It's a gin-based drink. It's very good.
Okay.
Was its origin attributed to a former rodeo clown? In Florence in 1919, the most popular aperitif, that's a pre-dinner drink, of course, was the Americano, which was Campari, vermouth, club soda, and orange peel. Count Camillo Negroni, a world traveler who had recently spent time in the U.S. as a rodeo clown, entered a bar and asked for a stronger version of the Americano. So the bartender subbed out the club soda for gin, and the drink was named after the patron who ordered it. Or was it an evolution of a classic cocktail? The Negroni is an Italian descendant of the Martini. Due to German battleships stationed around Europe during World War I, it was nearly impossible for Italy to import gin from England. So in an effort to ration the supply in his bar in Milan, Luca Cassoni created his own variation of the Martini with the same gin and vermouth base, but with Italian liqueurs Campari and Averna mixed in. Because Averna gave the drink a blackish color, he named the drink a Negroni.
Listen, I think I've heard this. I'm going with one.
You thought you heard the first one.
I know. I thought I had heard. I'm going with one.
I'm going with 2 because if it's not 2, it's one of the greatest made-up ones we've had.
We're going with 2 because Devin says rodeo clowns are poppycock.
All right.
Number 1, rodeo clown.
He's the smart guy now.
Yeah, there we go.
Smoked.
Your next beverage.
By the way, again, let me just applaud you, Brett. That made-up number 2 was ridiculously good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your next beverage is a Mai Tai.
Okay.
Was it from Victor Bergeron, better known as Trader Vic? Bergeron opened a Polynesian-themed restaurant in Oakland, California, and it was at that original Trader Vic's that he made the cocktail in 1944. Bergeron first whipped up the drink while looking to impress a pair of friends visiting from Tahiti with his 17-year-aged Jamaican rum. When the first friend tasted it, she reportedly yelled, "Mai Tai Roa Ae," which translates to "out of this world." He shortened it to Mai Tai and later wrote that, quote, "anyone who says I didn't create this drink is a dirty stinker." Or is it from the French Polynesian Tourism Board? When their first international airport opened in 1954, they tasked a local chef with creating the drink while stipulating that it needed to tell the story of their republic. So, the ingredients of the drink are all things that French, Spanish, and English explorers had introduced to the islands over the previous 300 years. Rum, orange curacao, orgeat syrup, and lime juice. The word Mai Tai means good in Tahitian, and it remains the official alcoholic beverage of French Polynesia.
I'm going with 2. I don't know why I went with 2 last time and it sounded good. 2 sounded good to me again. I'm going with 2.
No, I'm going with 1.
Oh, God.
I'm going with 1.
What do you guys think?
Jerry likes 2, but Devin says let's go with Wingo because he's hot. We're going 1.
Number 1, Trader Vic.
Who's the smart guy? Come on, Devin. Bubba boy. Let's go.
Your final
smoked.
drink.
All right, what is it?
Bloody Mary.
Okay.
Is it from Harry's New York Bar in Paris, the most famous cocktail bar in the world in the early 1900s?
Harry's New York Bar in Paris.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was actually a bar that they shipped out to Paris piece by piece.
Yeah, there's also one in Venice, if I'm not mistaken.
Bartender Ferdinand Petiot created the drink after much experimentation in the early 1920s, using newly introduced vodka from Russian refugees and tomato juice from American expats still abroad after World War I. It was initially named the Bucket of Blood, but was later renamed the Bloody Mary after Mary Tudor, the Queen of England, who sported the same nickname 4 centuries earlier. Or is it from Ernest Hemingway? Well, sort of. Mary was the name of Hemingway's third wife, whom he was married to from 1933 to 1940 and reportedly spent the entire marriage drunk. During this time, he frequented the King Cole Bar, the St. Regis Hotel in New York, where the signature drink was a tomato juice and vodka concoction called a Red Snapper, one of the many creations of legendary bartender Peter Rubin. Hemingway reportedly introduced the drink in Hong Kong in the 1940s, and he renamed it as a jab at his ex-wife. He wrote that the Bloody Mary, quote, did more than any other single factor except the Japanese army to precipitate the fall of that crown colony.
So I think I think last time around we some were answering because there were too many number one, so they went to number two. I think Brett took that to heart because all three have been number one, I believe.
No, the first one was 2, right?
First one was number 2.
Yeah. All right, never mind.
That's
my
great
theory's
theory,
over. By the way, who's writing this up here? Because they have me now at 29 for 59. Which is clearly under 50%.
We haven't updated the percentages yet. It'll be okay.
I was at 50%. Now I'm at 52. You obviously changed that to 52% when it's clearly under 50%. So don't give me an excuse. You messed up, right?
You're just mad because you're 0 for 3.
You're messed up.
Don't take it out of me because you can't get one right.
Number 1.
I feel like the Bloody Mary is like a staple drink that's been around a lot longer than when Ernest Hemingway would do this. Although, if anybody knew a cocktail, it was Ernest Hemingway. I think I'm going to go with number 1 as well.
What do you guys think?
Room, what do you think?
Devin wants to keep riding with Wingo.
Right.
That's so cheap. You know what? Grow up. Yeah, what is it?
It is number 1.
There we go. Hey, congratulations.
Who's the smart guy now?
You avoided the collar. You saved it in the final at bat. You were a Kirk Gibson that pulled one out there when you were just limping up to the plate and you made contact and you saved it. Congratulations.
They are so wrong. I was at 50%, okay? And I went 1 for 3.
Yeah.
I am no longer at 50%. And you have me at 30. You're an idiot, Dan. You're an idiot, okay?
Let's just say that the wrong standings may have been read before. We had updated standings. You're 30 for 60. You went 1 for 4.
All right.
But I wasn't that before we did this.
You were like 52%.
So what you wrote up before was wrong.
Yes. Either way, there was a mistake.
Just admit you were wrong about something.
It's a word segment, not a math segment, you guys.
Well, you know my feeling on this.
It's my understanding that there would be no math.
It's the only thing I have left to hang my hat on is simple math, okay?
And you've nailed it.
Because it's not Bretymology.
By the way, if I didn't get at least 3 out of 4 in drinking, I would have been so mad at myself.
True. You are the drinker of the group.
Play to your strengths, baby.
Yep. Support for the Golic and Wingo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying homes for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a whole lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about it. They're calling it the power buying process, and here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. You win either way. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Golic. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data record. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Golic and Wingo, presented by Progressive Insurance. Our phone guest joined us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. By the way, before we get into this football discussion, which is a very interesting one, did you see what Matt Chapman did, the A's third baseman? look, they're on a hot streak.
Yes,
right?
they are.
11-2. They're
Right.
within one of the division lead, not the wild card. Now the one game of the division lead. He's basically saying to fans, "Please watch us." He put out a statement saying, "I just want to use this time to encourage people in Oakland to come out." Man, the 25-year-old star said on the A's telecast following their win Monday night. "All the fans and support we can get, we can really appreciate it. Tonight we're fighting till the very end against the Mariners, and I just wish we can get some support out here, man. We're fun to watch. We really want our fans to come out and support us. It'd be great."
By the way, they are third to last in attendance.
Yeah.
The only two teams behind them, the Rays and the Marlins.
That's bad. That is bad.
So
they're on pace for 97 wins, and Matt Chapman's basically saying, "Guys, we're actually good at this.
We're
Come out
good.
and watch us."
Now, I think I will say I don't think it was third to the bottom when my Indians have been playing extremely well and going. They haven't had the greatest, I don't think, attendance in the world. Brett, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the last couple of years, because I think we had been talking about the same thing, the Indians doing well and people, kind of show up. But for Oakland, it's really bad right now being third last.
Yeah.
Indians are 22nd this year. Last year they were 22nd. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be better than that.
Guys, we're really good. You'll like us. Come watch us. So, hey, why not? I mean, I'm telling you, we talked about this earlier. It's an interesting story. If somehow they win that division and Houston doesn't, and then the Yankees got to face either Verlander or Dallas Keuchel in a one-game playoff, that ain't what you're looking for the New York Yankees in any way, shape, or form, especially after we saw what happened in Game 6 and 7. Granted, that was in Houston of the ALCS a year ago. Okay, so we're getting ready for Week 2 of the NFL's preseason. Begins Thursday night on ESPN. Washington taking on the Jets. They've been having some combined practices together, and count Josh Norman among those very impressed with the Jets rookie quarterback Sam Darnold.
You go out here and you see him make these throws, I'm like, all right, that's not so much of a college level throw. This little kid is not making mistakes. And he's really accurate. It's kind of like, dang. You know, you get rookies in here and you try to mess with them and bait them a little bit and thinking that he's going to throw a route that, you can make a play on, and he's not having it. And it's so crazy to see that at an early age.
Now, I will say this. I'm cynical enough to give Josh Norman all the credit in the world. If he's on the field, when Darnold's on the field, hey, man, butter him up and then you could bring him down, right?
Exactly.
Lull them into a false sense of security. So I'm willing to go there with Josh, thinking that might be what he's doing. But he's not the only guy talking about this with Sam Darnold.
No, he's not. And again, when you see things in practice, and this is the joint practice with Washington, because we talk about the game where he did look good in the game, but a lot of them were short passes. Again, not his fault. That's where the plays were called, and I don't blame coaches for doing that to ease somebody in. We had talked about players with a lot of upside coming in, and he was one of them. Had turnovers, no doubt about it. Sometimes has some happy feet in the pocket and some turnovers. Talked about how he can read or he's being able to do well in the pre-snap reads of man or zone. Now, again, the looks are going to get way more complicated as we go on, but certainly a good start for him.
It certainly is, and that brings up a really interesting question, especially in the city of New York. Look, there's no doubt, I think, that everyone believes in the talent of Saquon Barkley. Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I believe at one point this summer he was the top or second best-selling jersey in the NFL before he had even played a preseason snap. And what happened on his first preseason snap? He broke one off for 39 yards. So I think the Giants and the Giant fan base specifically feels very good about the future of Saquon Barkley. But Chris Canty, who works for 98.7 ESPN in New York, does a great job with them, played with the Giants, won a Super Bowl, played with the Ravens, was drafted by the Cowboys, did very well there as well, was on the Will Cain show, and I thought he made a very interesting observation about Saquon Barkley. No matter how good he is, will always be judged by what happens to Sam Darnold with the Jets.
I think Saquon Barkley is going to be a fantastic running back, but what does that mean for the Giants over the next couple of seasons while they still have Eli Manning? To me, the pick only makes sense if your organization, your team is competing for a championship over the course of the next 2 years. Otherwise, I don't know that you can justify passing on Sam Darnold in lieu of going for a running back in Saquon Barkley, who you're probably expecting top-end production for the next 6 or 7 years. And especially at a position where the skill set transfers from the college game to the pro game probably the quickest. When you look at what you saw from Alvin Kamara and Kareem Hunt, both of those guys were third-round draft picks. One was Offensive Rookie of the Year. The other one led the league in rushing. I just don't know that the Giants can justify the draft selection using that kind of capital on a running back if they're not in the postseason, if they're not winning when in January and trying to get to the Super Bowl.
I think it's a very interesting discussion.
Turn your mic on.
Dang it!
You are a professional.
Sons of friggin'.
I'm with you. First and foremost, let's say this. If you take two players, and given this situation where a team had the chance to draft the one and didn't, and that player was a quarterback. So take a quarterback, running back, the same scenario.
Right.
Let's take the names out of it because I don't want to put people's names attached to Hall of Fame careers when they haven't done anything yet.
Correct.
But if you go down the line and a quarterback that you could have had becomes a Hall of Famer and the running back that you did take becomes a Hall of Famer, you made a mistake.
Yes.
You made a mistake.
I agree.
Because the quarterback position is the most important position on the field.
And you're more likely to have a longer career as a Hall of Fame quarterback than you would as a Hall of Fame running back.
Again, that you don't think about that in the draft process to say, is one going to become a Hall of Famer? But one thing you do think about is over time. You're not drafting for a rookie year.
Wait a minute. You're talking about time?
Yes, I am. I know.
Go ahead.
So you're saying. So you're drafting for the next decade, not the rookie year.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's even as Sam Darnold starts, the thought that Saquon Barkley would have a better rookie year than Sam Darnold, I think is without question. I think that could happen.
Correct.
Rookie quarterbacks struggle. And if Sam does start at some point this year, at times he's going to struggle. But in the long term, I get exactly what Chris was saying about that it is going to be a lot tied to that no matter how good Saquon is. If Darnold is that good, then you should have thought about that because you have an older quarterback right now. The one thing I'll say on the other side is the running back position has changed. I understand the running back position is becoming a bit outdated. The running back position of today of Le'Veon Bell, of David Johnson,
of Todd
Gurley,
an offensive weapon more.
Yes, it's exactly right. How much they can help. So while I get what Chris is saying, I don't completely want to dismiss the other side of it of how much the running back of today can help a quarterback and help an offense with their ability to run the ball and then when you're a weapon out of the backfield as well.
Let me ask you this simple question. If Sam Darnold ends up being as good as people say he's going to be, and let's say he's the starter for 10 to 12 years for the Jets, is there anything Barkley can do to justify that would justify the Giants passing on Darnold to get to
it would be if they have basically the same careers. No, I mean you would always have wanted to have the quarterback, and that's why you hear around the draft. As I just said, you're not drafting for rookie year. We hear ceilings. Who has the highest ceiling? Who do we think has that potential to have what we need down the road if we're only going to get another couple of years out of quarterback that we have? We're drafting this guy for a couple of seasons after that. But they drafted for the now because the other side of that, again, as well, Trey, is because you can turn it around.
Yeah.
You can turn it around with draft and free agency. They get a left tackle. They get Hernandez, the guard, and he's a starter. They get Saquon Barkley. So they get people in position. They get a healthy Odell Beckham Jr. to be able to try and be able to make a run. So I get it for the now, but Chris Canty is talking about down the road, and he has a very valid point with that.
Look, just look at what the Cleveland Browns did and didn't do. They passed on. They didn't think Carson Wentz was a franchise quarterback, so they gave up that second pick. And with that pick in the first round, they took Corey Coleman, who was one of the litany of first-rounders that never made it to year 3 in Cleveland. They traded him away to Buffalo. And it's nothing against Saquon, but if Darnold is as good as people think he is, I think people are going to say the Giants made a mistake by passing on Sam Darnold. As good as Saquon Barkley could possibly be.
Delta's always striving to take the stress out of travel so you can focus on what comes next, including free messaging to keep you connected to the ground while you're in the air. Just connect to Wi-Fi to use iMessage, Facebook, Messenger, and WhatsApp for free. Purchase not required. Messaging and data rates do not apply.
All right, Golic and Wingo presented by 1-800-Flowers.com. Surprise a friend or loved one today with a bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for only $29.99, you'll get another dozen absolutely free. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Okay, Mike, it's amazing. Despite the numbers, 73% higher the PGA's final round was than a year ago. People still are grouchy about Tiger coverage.
Hey guys, can we get over worshiping Tiger Woods over and over again? I mean, come on. I understand he's real popular, but how many guys don't even get their name mentioned that finish ahead of him? And whether he wins a major or not, I hope he does, so that we can just be quiet about it and get on with it. And I'm not so sure that all this isn't driving some people away. I'm sure I'm not alone out here.
Let's
brother,
see.
You could not be more farther alone.
54% up ratings on Saturday and 73 on Sunday. Sorry, my man, not driving him away.
If anything, you're one of the minority going the other way while everyone else is screaming towards, give me more of this.
Stunningly enough, Brett wants to come on and give us another point about this. Go ahead, Brett.
He said we don't mention guys who finished ahead of Tiger. Only one guy finished ahead of Tiger last weekend.
And we mentioned him a lot. His name was Brooks Koepka.
Yeah.
And we talked about the things he's doing historically. So, dude, we love you, appreciate the show.
Yes, we do.
But you're right. You're not alone, but you're in the teeny minority.
You are in the minority.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So we had Joe LaCava on, Tiger's caddy, one of the great interviews in the long and illustrious history of this show, talking about a bunch of stuff. And, obviously Tiger shot that 64 on Sunday, but he was 3 under on the front side when he missed every single fairway. And we asked him, okay, what was it like scoring and missing all those fairways? And Joe said, hey, we had to have fun with it.
On Sunday, we get up there on number 9, and he's got a 2-iron in his hand, not a very hard fairway to hit. And I had to kind of, make a light moment. I said, it can't be that hard. I think I could hit this fairway. Sure enough, he follows up probably with the worst tee shot of the morning. I mean, hit it way left, almost out of bounds. But it's funny. You have to say certain things to these guys, and sometimes you have to make light of it because, we hadn't hit a fairway. Sometimes I joke, so that Tiger can hear, I'll joke to the other caddy. I said, how are the fairways? Are they in good shape today? And so, you just try to make a little bit of a light of it. I haven't seen a fairway, you know what I mean?
That's fantastic.
That is a great line.
And I have to believe that 42-year-old Tiger is much more okay with this than 32-year-old Tiger.
32-year-old is probably saying some choice words while 42-year-old is probably chuckling going, yeah, you're right.
I mean, timing is everything.
Yeah.
When Tiger's at his peak, I don't think you would have made that joke because I don't think he would have been happy with that joke.
You got to think these caddies, they got to coddle a little bit, right? I mean,
there is coaching involved.
Sure.
There is coaching involved. Yeah. And you perhaps asked the most pertinent question going forward, which is simply this about the Ryder Cup. Jim Furyk was so coy with it, and you went straight to the source.
I don't know. I don't know any more than anybody else knows, but, here I'll play the captain obvious role. I'd like to think he's going to be picked. He's playing better than most guys outside the top 8. So, I mean, come on, let's be honest. It's probably a no-brainer.
Again, he's 11th in Ryder Cup points. They take the top 8, and then there's a captain pick for the 4 others. He's going to make this
He's
thing.
going to be there.
But basically, I asked Joe, did he have any plans when the Ryder Cup was going on? He said his week is free.
His week is free, absolutely. And then, of course, we all want to know, because we won't have an answer to this until we see what happens at the Masters again in April. Is he going to win major number 15?
I don't see why not. I mean, he's playing well. He's got a lot of confidence right now. And I think, obviously, being in the mix of these big tournaments proves to him that he can get it done and certainly compete with these young guys that are all playing very well.
And to me, Mike, that was the most important thing of what I saw Sunday. I think before Sunday, Tiger believed he could contend. I think he felt like after that round Sunday, he knows he can win again and win a major.
I just want Tiger to completely stay relevant. That has absolutely nothing to do with Tiger. I want to keep having Joe on.
Yes.
We'll put up more on our at Golic and Wingo about the interview. When he was talking about running a fan who was mouthing off at Tiger. That was a phenomenal story.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a great stuff.
Or beating Tiger and Horse in 8 straight games, and Tiger was so ticked that he didn't speak to him for 24 hours and didn't invite him to dinner that night.
That's some great stuff.
Exactly great. So Joe LaCava, look, he's been out there looping for a long time. He was with Freddie Couples when he won his Masters in 92, was with Dustin Johnson for a few years. Great to have Joe on. We will have him on again. Coming up, a Super Bowl winning quarterback is in the concussion protocol in the preseason. How concerned should your team be?
Do your hair a favor by checking in online and arriving just in time for your Sport Clips MVP haircut experience while you surround yourself with sports on TV. Great cut, massaging shampoo, and hot steam towel. Claim your spot today. SportClips.com/check-in.
Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo on a Wednesday. ESPN Radio, ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. You can get in touch with us with the 100flowers.com Twitter feed at Golic and Wingo, or call in on our voicemail line. You just heard somebody calling in there in that rejoin, 860-506-5505. We're getting close to the start of the second week of preseason, which will officially kick off Thursday when Washington takes on the New York Jets, and the coronation of Sam Darnold potentially continues. We'll get into all of that in just a little bit, but we've been getting a lot of feedback, Mike, from our interview earlier today with Joe LaCava, the caddy for Tiger Woods. It was just great, and it was refreshing to hear him talk about the relationship he has with Tiger and how much Tiger was enjoying the moment Sunday at the PGA Championship when the crowd was going nuts. You know, Tiger was actually high-fiving fans as he was walking green to the next tee. You never saw that before when he was in contention with a major. And you also asked a great question about what the relationship of a caddy is and things that he had to do potentially.
Well, caddies, by the way, I mean, they have to be psychologists.
Yes.
They have to be big brothers. They have to be fathers. They have to keep their golfer, kind of at bay and in a good mental state. And they have to be bouncers.
Yes.
They are the muscle for the golfer as it relates to the crowd. And there are no bigger crowds in golf than around Tiger Woods. So he is Tiger Woods' muscle, and he takes his job seriously.
Absolutely. Stevie Williams did that when he was Tiger's caddy as well.
Yep.
But it was funny. You asked him about dealing with the crowds at the PGA and said, no, that wasn't a problem. But then he went back to the week before at Akron, and there was an issue, and Joe LaCava handled it.
The week before in Akron, I had a little incident with a guy who was harassing my guy on the 14th hole at Akron the last day outside the ropes, roughing him up pretty good. And I said, listen, bud, why do you got to go there? I said, everyone's having a good time. Everyone's pulling for Tiger. If you don't like the guy, that's one thing. But you don't need to be yelling at my guy and screaming negative stuff like that. And I said, at the end of the day, if you affect him in his performance here, it affects my bottom line. So he calls me a couple names, and I go back and forth with the guy. And I said, why don't you just leave? He goes, well, if you give me $25 for the ticket that I bought today, I'll leave. And I said, here you go. Here's $25. He starts to go down the 14th fairway towards the greens. I said, look, pal, 25 is 25. You got to head the other way. So he starts to head the other way. He goes 20 yards down the line, and he calls me a swear word. So I run 20 yards back the other way. We're going face-to-face with this guy. And all of a sudden, Tiger's looking for yards, and I'm in it with this guy 20 yards down the line. So some cop has to come in, push this guy out of the way, and takes him out of the tournament.
That was great.
That's unreal. How about there's Tiger, your golfer, looking for yardage, looking around for your caddies over there, face-to-face, the spittle flying with a fan.
I'll be with you in a minute. I got to handle this first.
The guy gave him a number, $25, and LaCava hands it to him.
Well, that's my point. If you say, hey, cover my ticket and I'm out of here, and the guy gives you the money to cover for the ticket,
you got to go.
You got to go.
You got to go. You set the mark, and he met the mark.
That's the way it is.
You got to go.
And we're not condoning anybody kicking anybody out.
Absolutely.
But if the conversation is that the words come out of your mouth and you say, hey, you cover my ticket for coming in here, and I'll leave, and the guy gives you the money, guess what? You're gone.
I'm just amazed again because the caddies really are they're responsible for their golfer with all those fans around there. And in today's world, when you see all those phones out there filming and all the cameras out there as well, you just are amazed that there aren't more clicks in the backswing, You got to wait till right after the contact of the ball. And they're trying to time it so quickly or just right that it's there right on the swing. It's amazing there aren't more confrontations. But as we said, just like in everything, 99% of the people are good. It's the 1%ers, that cause a problem like that guy or that yell out stupid things, at golf tournaments that we hear every now and then. But he had some great stories. That is a great story.
Yeah, and let's be clear, you don't have to like Tiger. That's fine.
No.
But there's a line. You can not like him, but there's certain things you don't want to say one way or the other. Whether it's Tiger or whoever, it's going to go Dustin Johnson. Remember, Justin Thomas got a guy kicked out of the Honda earlier this year because he didn't like some of the things he was saying. So it happens all the time. And there were so many great questions and interviews and answers from Joe LaCava. It's going to be a big part of the podcast. We'll have it up later on. And we will absolutely have Joe LaCava on later on because the story he told about beating Tiger at horse 8 straight times and Tiger wouldn't talk to him for 24 hours.
Wouldn't talk to him for a day and wouldn't eat dinner with him that night.
Yeah.
For beating him at horse 8 times. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like I said, I hope Tiger keeps playing well just so we can keep having Joe on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen. With or without Tiger, we're having Joe on.
He's phenomenal.
I met him last year, actually, at the first tee event at the TPC Harvard. Great dude. He's actually from here, has lived here his whole life.
Right.
And he's had some amazing bags on his loop, whether it was Freddie Couples again or Dustin Johnson early in his career. And again, Tiger's going to keep playing. Northern Trust will be down there next weekend.
Right.
And we'll see how Tiger and Joe do in that tournament.
Think Joe want to come up on set and hang out for a little bit?
He might be a little busy that week.
Well, we don't know the times yet. Maybe he and Tiger won't be later that day.
Pretty sure that.
Tiger be looking for him on the practice tee, and Joe will be on set.
I had to rough up a couple of radio hosts. We'll take care of that. So we'll see what happens there going forward. Time for a little NFL training camp report now. Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Protecting your small business is a big deal. Cover what you've worked so hard for. visit progressivecommercial.com. Okay, Pittsburgh Steelers fans have had a couple of scares, Mike, in training camp already this summer. There was the issue with Antonio Brown, who had an undisclosed injury and had to go back to Pittsburgh, and everything is fine there. And then he limped off of practice the other day. They say it was a quad. Everything's going to be fine. They expect him to be good. But in one of the rarest instances possible, you have a quarterback injury by a hit in training camp. And we say that's rare is because the quarterback in camp is like a nuclear reactor. Yeah. Do not touch. It's like a hot stove. You don't want to go anywhere near it. Yet somehow, some way, Ben Roethlisberger found himself in the concussion protocol because of a hit in training camp.
I'll tell you about the one quarterback I hit in a red jersey one time that didn't go so well. But for about Ben, so what happened was it was a rollout on like a goal line play, and Marcus Gilbert, his right tackle, was tied up with a linebacker, and they were blocking, and where Ben was rolling, he ran into those guys, and he fell down, and when he fell down, his head snapped back and hit the turf. So it wasn't a player that hit him in the head. His head hit the turf. And according to some of the players, like Center Marquise Pouncey, he got up and he said, I'm fine, I'm good, but they're going to take him through the concussion protocol. Last time he went through that was in 2015. He was not playing this week against Green Bay anyway, so nothing is getting messed up there. I think we all understand he knows how to play the game.
Yep.
And be ready by week 1 and you're good. But, nobody likes to be injured in preseason, and the concussion protocol, I mean, we know where we are with the head injuries, and you don't want to be dealing with that. But we are here. So he'll go through it. He'll take his time, but he does have some time. I would think most people would think that he will be through this just fine and plenty of time to play.
Absolutely. And I think we've talked about this before. Where you are in the concussion protocol and how you handle it, whether it's right or wrong, has a great deal to do with where you are in your career. The last time Ben was in the concussion protocol was that Steelers game in Seattle.
Right.
He got hit by Michael Bennett, and that was in 2015, and he took himself out of the game.
Right.
And there was a lot of talk about, wow, this is what players need to do sometimes, and be honest with themselves and trainers and all that kind of stuff, where you are and whether or not you're hurt. And listen, that's true, and that's what you want to see. But, Mike, it's a lot easier to do that when you're Ben Roethlisberger with a $100 million contract and 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 wins than it is as a rookie or a third-year guy trying to hang onto a roster spot as a special teams
or
player.
An 8th-year guy.
Yeah.
I put myself in that category, a 6th-year guy, an 8th-year guy, a 9th-year guy, trying to make sure they're around. And the only way you're around is if you're available to be on the field. Now, we are seeing more and more people are cognizant of the head injuries. Hell, we've seen players retire because they don't want to deal with some of it. But for the most part, you're still going to get players that are going to hide it. For the most part, you have foot soldiers on that field. Guys who understand if they come off the field that they may not get back on the field. So they are willing to take the risk of forgetting even the head injury, any other injury, if they can get away with playing on a knee, on an ankle, an elbow, whatever. They're going to go out there and do all they can to play. The head injury is the scary one because that if, as we're still studying the lingering effects later on in life, but players will be willing to take that chance to stay on the field. And that does have a lot to do with it. Right, wrong, and different, whatever your thought on that is, guys that need to be on the field to have a job are going to do everything they can, including lying about injuries from their head to their toes, to stay on said field. That's the way. That's not going to change. Even though we are starting to get more players that are aware of it, when push comes to shove, they are going to try to be on the field.
Yeah, absolutely, they're going to be on the field. That's the fine line that every player has to define. Where am I, and where am I comfortable with what happens if I take myself off the field going forward?
So, true freshman year.
Yep, this is your story about hitting somebody. Okay.
True freshman year at Notre Dame. We're getting to the first scrimmage. This was back when the freshmen all showed up early. We showed up like 3 days before any of the upperclassmen showed up. So we would all practice amongst ourselves first, and then the veterans would show up, and we'd have maybe a practice or two with them, and then we had our first team scrimmage. And I think that at that time was Blair Keel, God rest his soul, Blair Keel, and they wore red jerseys.
Yep.
Quarterbacks will wear the red, some don't. Like Ben and that, you see all the pictures, didn't have a red jersey on, but you don't touch the quarterback. You do not.
It's pretty easy to not hit big number 7.
But in this case, the quarterback did have a red jersey on. And I came rushing in this scrimmage. This is live. This was back at the start of Jerry Faust's career, when that was my first coach. We actually, in pregame before the game, pregame going out, and when you run that team by the goal line, we did live tackling.
Get out of here.
It was ridiculously. It's not a smart thing to do. It lasted for about a week or two, and then we stopped doing it, thankfully. But so this was the first scrimmage, and this was back that was hitting live tackling, but quarterback's got the jersey on. I came around my first scrimmage, true freshman year. I'm not even there a week, and the veterans were barely even there, the upperclassmen. I came around on a rush. I think it was on a game, and I had a clear path blindside to the quarterback, and everybody in the world, I'm sure, was watching me rush untouched. The quarterback didn't see me and getting ready to throw the ball. They were refs getting ready to blow the whistle, expecting me to step aside. I drilled him blindside.
All the way in?
Full out
Dude.
hit, landed on him, the whole deal. And everybody looked at it. First, the old lineman came over and were trying to kill me, so a massive fight started, and I get it, and I just started swinging. Again, the way my dad had brought me up, right, wrong, or whatever you think about it, said, find the biggest person out there and start, or get in a fight, show them you're tough. That was kind of the way. And, oh boy, that started a fight. And man, I ran after that one. Did I have to run? Booted, for a while out of that scrimmage while I was making my way running around the field for hitting the quarterback. But I was like, I'm like true freshman, trying to show off, I beat my man. I got to rush.
Announce your presence with authority.
Boom. And as soon as I hit him and land on him, I just went, oh, fudge.
Except you didn't say fudge.
I was like, okay, I barely got the fudge out of my voice when there were about 3 old linemen that just were pile driving me, punching on me. And then obviously, even though I was wrong, all my defensive players came over to have my back, because that's kind of what you do. So it was a big melee, and I deserved it. I got so chewed out for that.
I was about to say, what was your penalty for that?
I had to run.
Yeah.
They were like, get out, you're done, and just start running. We'll let you know when you can come back.
How long did you run?
I don't recall, but as it's like one of those things. I'm a true freshman. I'd been there barely a week. I'm running, going, oh my God. I thought I made a great play, and here I am. I am in the doghouse in the first live scrimmage of my career at Notre Dame. I destroyed a quarterback. I didn't hurt him, by the way. I hit him blindsided a red jersey wearing quarterback. Oh,
I think you learned very quickly that the quarterback position is more important than you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't care at that point. And maybe that was the start. Maybe that was the start of my great hate for quarterbacks.
Yeah, that might have been
the trouble that I got in, even though it was completely my fault. I understood that. But what a red jersey wearing quarterback can do to you if you hit him, and how much trouble that you can get in.
Yeah, so you learned your lesson, and that was, of course, during your collegiate days at Notre Dame.
And maybe, I'm starting to think now of the connection, maybe that's why I only had 11.5 sacks in the NFL, because I was so scarred by that pass rush that I got to the quarterback that I thought, you know what? This has really hurt my ability to get to the quarterback. Maybe I can look back upon that play as why I wasn't a great pass rusher. What do you think?
Let me just say this.
Yep.
Whatever works for you.
Okay.
Whatever works for you.
Not the fact that, I had like guys like Mark Schlereth holding me on every play.
That's absolutely true, and he will admit to that.
Yeah.
Golic and Wingo with you here on a Wednesday morning. So those were experiences from your collegiate days. And, of course, we had that unbelievable press conference yesterday, Mike, at Maryland in the wake of the death of 19-year-old Jordan McNair, where basically the president of the university stepped up and said, we messed up, and it's on us.
We went there this morning to meet with the parents of Jordan McNair, and I want to meet with them in private to express, on behalf of the university, our apology for their loss of their son. I said to them, and I said I will be mentioning it publicly this afternoon, but I wanted them to hear it directly from me this morning. The university accepts legal and moral responsibility for the mistakes that our training staff made on that fateful workout day of May the 29th, which of course led subsequently to his death on June 13th.
Now, a lot of people have had a lot of reactions to that, Mike. And some of them are absolutely justified if they say that's cynical and you only are doing this because of the article that came out on ESPN.com after that death about the toxic culture that a lot of former players, current players, and staffers said was under head coach DJ Durkin. You and I had a different reaction. First of all, normally in many situations like this, it is CYA mode first. They did not go down that road, and it might have taken that article on ESPN.com for them to take a second look at what was going completely wrong, potentially, allegedly, at the Maryland program. But again, they're doing a review right now. It's not complete yet, and they're like, wait a minute, we've seen enough to know that we messed up, and we are on the hook here.
That I get, and all those questions are fair to why it took so long, and the AD, Damon Evans, gave a bit of a reason, which I'll get to in a moment. But one thing I wasn't expecting to hear, again, when we don't even have the official death report on Jordan McNair just yet, but everybody believes it's going to be heat stroke. But what do you normally hear in situations like that? Let's wait and see what the report says.
Right.
We're forming a committee, which they have, to look into not only the events that led up to the death of this student athlete, but also the supposed toxic environment for this team. We have a committee together. Let's wait for the findings. That's what you were waiting to hear. He came out and said, the president of the university, we accept legal and moral responsibility for the death of Jordan McNair.
Yep.
And again, they visited the parents before they had this presser as well. The parents, through the lawyer, made a statement that they were appreciative of the president for what he had to say. So that I thought was strong. They didn't have to come out and do all that. You can say it was late, and okay, you can make your case for that. But they came out and said, this is on us.
Yeah.
This is, and then they went even a little further and said, this is on basically the strength coach who runs these drills, and that's Rick Court, who has resigned, and the training staff, which is there. They separated it from the coaching staff and said that's going to get looked into by this group of 4 that they're getting together to do that. But they've accepted responsibility. So that surprised me. Now, how far this goes, as I said, the strength coach, Rick Court, is gone. Wes Robin said the head trainer is on paid administrative leave. I don't see any way he is going to be back.
Yeah. DJ
Durkin, once this next phase comes into play of looking into this, into how the program has been run, I don't see any way he is back. And then there's going to be questions, Paul Feinbaum brought him up, about newly appointed Damon Evans. He was appointed the official AD right in that time frame of the Jordan McNair death on the field, or death a couple of weeks after he fell out on the field. So, and there's going to be words about whether he's going to be able to keep his job given some of his background and his involvement or non-involvement of this. So this is far from over, but I really think yesterday, Trey, the president really wanted to focus on Jordan McNair.
Correct.
The fact that what happened here should never happen. No matter what goes on from this day forward, when we talk about the coach and that kind of thing, these parents will never have their son come home from Maryland again. Never going to happen. And that's going to be what we're talking about here. We'll deal with the other stuff later. Let's talk about the death of this student athlete. It is our fault.
Yeah. And along those lines, why it's so shocking for him to say we have a moral and, more importantly, a legal responsibility here. You just have to go back to the worst mass shooting in the history of this country. Last fall, the MGM shooting incident in Las Vegas. MGM Resorts International is actually suing more than 1,000 victims and other survivors of that last year's shooting, claiming it has no liability for the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history in a way to avoid paying out millions and millions and millions in claims. So you can say it's cynical about what's going on with Maryland. You can say they're only doing it because of the article, and that may be true, and that may be fair. But at least they're saying we are on the hook here, and you see it in so many other situations where that does not happen by an entity that feels that it's responsible for the deaths in certain situations. All right, so we'll see what happens going forward. They're going to have that panel, and that official decision on what will eventually happen to everybody in that program will be made early in September.
I know we're running late, but I should read this as well, because a lot of people are questioning why it took 2 months. And while the complete report isn't out, they wanted to do some investigating into what happened, and they felt they had enough information to say this is our fault. And Evans, the AD, was asked why it took 2 months to interview the people involved in this. And Evans said, we wanted to make sure we understood everything and provide the players with any counseling and time they might need to heal emotionally. This was a time of grieving. We were focused on making sure they were okay, making sure we had people around them to support them. That was our first priority. So and I'm sure some people won't even believe that. But that's I just wanted to get out. That's what they're saying about why did it take 2 months? Well, we needed to talk to players and coaches, but we needed to give them time to go through the grieving process if they needed to see counseling. That's their reason. You can believe it, you can not believe it, but that's what Evans had said.
Absolutely, and the process, and he said due process is important here, is beginning to play out, and they'll have the results, and they will make those results public sometime in September. Coming up this week, Tom Brady spoke about his relationship with Bill Belichick yesterday. He says they're all good, right? We'll tell you in Love It or Shove It, Mike.
Support for the Golic and Wingo Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying homes for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a whole lot of anxiety with folks. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about it. They're calling it the power buying process, and here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. This gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, they lock your rate for up to 90 days while you shop. Now here's the best part. If rates go up, your rate stays the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. You win either way. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Golic. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply. Based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data record. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio, ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. Phone guest, Shell Penzo Performance Line. Twitter feed, at Golic and Wingo, 1-800-Flowers.com. Twitter feed, 860-506-5505. Call in line. We want to hear from you. Now, we want to hear from Bubba, because Love It or Shove It time brought to you by Granger.
Let's do it.
Let's go, man.
Let's go.
Tiger Woods will win another major before LeBron James wins another title. Love it or shove it.
Wow. Every one of LeBron's titles has come since Tiger last won a major. Tiger's going to be, what was that? 43.
You are professional. Don't push that button.
Exactly.
Wow.
Tiger's going to be 43 at the next major of the Masters. LeBron turns 34 this season. Holy smokes. Tiger win another major before LeBron wins another title.
I'm loving this one. Because I think he's going to win at Augusta. We had Joe LaCava as caddy on. He's like, yeah, he's going to win another major. So why not? I'm all in.
I had said Tiger is not going to win another major. Not that he can't win another major. I just don't think he will win another major. So if I stick with that, I'm going to have to say I shove it, and that LeBron James will win another title first.
See, I just because I don't think LeBron's winning one next year, and I think
obviously that's the case. And if I don't think Tiger's winning anymore,
yes,
and I do think in a couple of years LeBron may be able to win one, that's why I went there. Bubba?
Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack will both get new contracts before week 1 of the regular season. Love it or shove it.
I'm going to love that. I know Aaron Donald will. The Khalil Mack one blows my mind. I mean, this is the best player on the team. You are going to move to Vegas. You're going to want to have a player like that there to build around. You can only build around your head coach, Chucky, so much.
Yeah.
It really works better when it's a player on the field, quite honestly. And Khalil Mack can be that guy. But you're already paying your quarterback. But this is where we are now. When your quarterback gets the big money and you have another great player, one of the best at his position, you're going to have to pay him. They got to pay him. So I'm going to say, I'm going to love this one, say they both get done.
I'm going to shove it. And I'll tell you why. Because Aaron Donald and the Rams, Les Snead says they're in the same zip code in terms of the contract. I didn't even know if Khalil Mack and the Raiders are in the same continent.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're the same hemisphere. Okay, they haven't had. We had Adam Schefter on the other day. They have not had any contract talks since February. So we're supposed to believe now from August 15th to September 9th, lo and behold, or September 10th, we're going to get all this stuff done.
You know how that works. So when your back's against the wall, things tend to get done, especially if Aaron Donald does sign.
Yeah.
And you do have now a mark. You do have a number, whether Matt goes right up under that or right over it. At least they would have something then.
I get all that, but if I'm Khalil Mack, I'm like, dude, you haven't talked to me since February? I'm a little ticked at this point. So I'm going to shove that because I think it's going to be a 50-50 split.
Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's relationship is fine. Love it or shove it.
19th season together. I love it because I'm considering their relationship as it relates to the team. That's fine. They are both in sync about what they're trying to accomplish. That's win another championship. So that's the only relationship that matters. I don't care if they ever break bread. I don't care when they're
whoa.
I don't care if when they're done playing they never speak to one another again. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care less about that.
Yeah.
I care about them together as coach and quarterback trying to win titles. And when Tom stepped in that building and Bill's in that building, that's what their focus is. That's what their goal is. So that relationship is fine.
By the way, Tom was asked about it on his weekly appearance on WEEI, and here's what he had to say.
I think our priorities are the same as they've always been, and I think that's why we get along so well. Is we're here to win, and like I said, it's been a very professional environment that he's created. I think I'm very lucky to be in that environment. I think he's the best coach that's ever coached in the NFL. I feel very privileged to have kind of been mentored by him for as long as I have. Not many players have been able to be coached by the greatest coach of all time, and I have. And I think I'm very lucky to be able to have that. I have so much confidence in him and, what his decisions are. They've had a great track record over a long period of time. We're both expecting to go out and have a great season like we always have. I've certainly exchanged a lot of texts with him over the course of a long period of time, so that's kind of the way people communicate these days.
Is he a big emoji user?
I know.
Let me just say this. It's amazing how things have changed the closer you get to football. Remember in the offseason, I plead the fifth about whether or not you're appreciated.
But you heard him there, a professional relationship, and that's all that matters.
I agree with you. That's why I love this, because that's what their relationship is, and that's all it needs to be.
The Giants will eventually regret passing on Sam Darnold. Love it or shove it.
I had said Josh Rosen is going to be the best quarterback out of this group going forward. We have no reason to believe or to know who is just yet, so it's a little early for me to say the Giants are going to regret passing on Sam Darnold, taking Saquon Barkley instead, so I'm going to shove this one. A little early.
Yeah, just because there's not enough data for me to know that will be the case. Let's let it play out. Is it possible? Yes. But if you're asking me to make a declarative statement now with 0 regular season snaps, I have to shove it.
Wow. It seems like you're getting the game.
I don't care.
Like that. I'm with you, Bubba. I agree.
I almost wanted to pass on this question.
The tide is turning. I like it.
I'll read the question.
You have an effect on him.
Next
Bubba.
question.
I like it. The Browns should throw up the X and sign Des Bryant. Love it or shove it.
Current receivers, Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway, unless some of those charges go wrong.
Yeah.
Rashard Higgins, Jeff Janis, and maybe eventually Josh Gordon. From a talent perspective, while he isn't, at the top of his game anymore, I still think he could be a really effective receiver, and God knows the Cleveland Browns could use talent.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I think that will outweigh everything else. So while I talked about earlier, what would he be in the locker room? Would it eventually be worse, make things worse? I think it can. You know what? I'm going to shove this. I'm going to say no, they shouldn't sign
Really?
him. I am. I'm going to say shove it.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to love it because I think that even though Dez has not been the greatest about putting his best job application face out there on Twitter with some of the things he said, I still believe when push comes to shove, he has enough left, and they have a need at wide receiver. And you know how this is, Mike. The better you are, the more people are willing to put up with. That's the way it's always been in the NFL, and that ain't never changing. Look, we saw that in Houston when they made the trade for Roberto Osuna, coming off that long suspension for allegations of domestic violence. And they talked about the culture in Houston. Yeah, but he's pretty good, so we're going to see if we can make it work here. And I'm not equating that with anything that Dez has done. I'm just saying, as an example, the more talent a team believes you have, the more they're likely to say, yeah, we can handle this part. And I think because they have a dearth of available wide receivers right now, I think they're going to go with. I love it.
I think my issue also is he going to be around when this team eventually turns a corner? He's got to be pushing 30, right, Brett? I know his 8th season, so he's got to be high 20s, right around 30.
I think he's 29 or 30.
Right in that area there. So, I mean, is he going to... Is he going to be part of that process?
Well, it's going to be. I'm sure it's going to be a very team-friendly deal with
right.
Very 1 or 2 years max.
Turns 30 in November, so I don't know. All right, we differ on that one.
Yep.
All right. Future Hall of Famer and all around just great guy Jacob deGrom should put it in the books.
Oh, he just wasn't ready. You hung Cliff out to dry there.
I was
you?
ready. I just didn't want to give him the satisfaction.
Like it, yeah.
Well
we
done.
are the pettiest show in
we
America.
Are battling board ops.
Yeah. You were ready when that sound effect played earlier, too.
Oh.
Jacob DeGrom should win the NL Cy Young. Love it or shove it. Let's go to Brett.
I love it. Wins are an antiquated stat. The guy has a 181 ERA. It would be the 11th lowest since they lowered the mound 50 years ago.
It is pretty impressive. Again, he's 7-7. I mean, he is 7-7. Now, what was it? Felix Hernandez won with how many wins?
13 and 12.
13 and 12 he was. 13 and 12 is even better than 7. It's not, from a percentage wise, I get it. It's right around 7, but 7-7. Man,
it's a good beverage.
Yeah, it is, but wow, that's what do you think? I'm gonna
love it. I'm with Bretymology. I love this. Much in the same way that wins and losses are not a quarterback stat and should not drive someone.
Put it in the books.
There you go.
You know what? He's second in the league in strikeouts behind Scherzer as well.
All in on this.
And
I love this.
The top
idea.
ERA. You know what? I'm going to love it as well.
Now
Let's
talking.
all
There
love
we
it. Let's
go.
make
We're
Bubba
all
happy.
loving
We're
Jacob
all gonna
DeGrom.
love it.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well
Good job.
done. Go
Great
ahead,
job.
Bubba.
All right, that's Love It or Shove It. Brought to you by Grainger, the products. Oh, yeah. Wait for it. Love It or Shove It is brought to you by Grainger, the products and services you need when you need them. Grainger's got your back to help keep your facility running. Grainger for the ones who get it done, like me and Jacob DeGrom.
Once again, this segment proved one thing is certain about the pillar of strength of this show.
The pettiest show in America.
Without question.
It's not even close. We have board op versus board op beef here between Bubba, who's now talent, by the way.
Yes, he is.
Who's
Exactly.
now talent.
Get
And
it
our
right.
own Cookmaster Cliff, who can't seem to just get on the same page when they're on the show together.
They're bitter.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Hear ye, oh yay, oh yay. To quote the great Samuel L. Jackson from the Smash Film Training Day, King Kong ain't has nothing on me.
Wait, Samuel L. Jackson from what movie? He confused Samuel L. Jackson for Denzel Washington.
Yeah, I was about to Training Day was Denzel Washington.
Rolling on.
I did too.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I thought we were going to have to beep him out. It's tough when the town crier can't even get it right. Sports Center brought to you by Sport Clips. Do your hair a favor by checking in online and arriving just in time for your Sport Clips MVP haircut experience while you surround yourself with sports on TV. Great cut, massaging shampoo, hot steam towel. Claim your spot today. SportClips.com/check-in. We've been asking for your irrational fears all day based on the fact that my son, me, and Trey are all scared of robots and AI and the fact that they will overtake the world at some point.
Which makes that a rational fear. And then Allie, the show eraser, normally, put it up on Golic and Wingo. We have an irrational. No, we have a rational fear of robots.
I think so.
So she was asking for irrational fears.
How about this one? Tom, spiders.
Yeah.
But the explanation, could have just said spiders and left it at that. They're smarter than we think. Not sure how Tom knows that. You always know one or more are near, but you can't be sure until you actually see it. There are a lot of them, and this line creeps me out. They eat their own, so munching on you is not a big deal to them.
Yeah, that's a problem. Mike sums it up best, and this might be your son. He's afraid of the future.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And there's the robots. And we'll get in one last one here, because this one I just love. Alex is deathly afraid of Ferris wheels because of its breaking off its stanchions and rolling down the pier like in the movies. What movie is that?
I've never seen a movie where that's happened.
Where has that ever happened?
Send us the clip.
Yeah, we want the clip.
From that movie.
Alex.
I've seen things that happen on a Ferris wheel. They stop, people fall off for whatever reason, but I've never seen one break off its stanchions and roll down the street.
Yeah. You know what you should have a rational fear of? Doing a negotiation with Joe LaCava.
Yeah.
Tiger's caddy. We had Joe LaCava on earlier talking about what a spectacle it was to play at the PGA Championship and the crowds and everything else. And you astutely asked him, were there any issues with the crowds Sunday at the PGA? And he said, not so much at the PGA, but the week before at Firestone, Yeah, there was an issue.
The week before in Akron, I had a little incident with a guy who was harassing my guy on the 14th hole at Akron the last day outside the ropes, roughing him up pretty good. And I said, listen, bud, why do you got to go there? I said, everyone's having a good time. Everyone's pulling for Tiger. If you don't like the guy, that's one thing. But you don't need to be yelling at my guy and screaming negative stuff like that. And I said, at the end of the day, if you affect him, his performance there, it affects my bottom line. So he calls me a couple names, and I go back and forth with the guy. And I said, why don't you just leave? He goes, well, if you give me $25 for the ticket that I bought today, I'll leave. And I said, here you go. Here's $25. He starts to go down the 14th fairway towards the greens. I said, look, pal, 25 is 25. You got to head the other way. So he starts to head the other way. He goes 20 yards down the line, and he calls me a swear word. So I run 20 yards back the other way. We're going face-to-face with this guy. And all of a sudden, Tiger's looking for yardage, and I'm in it with this guy 20 yards down the line. So some cop has to come in, push this guy out of the way, and takes him out of the tournament.
First of all, 25, as Joe said, 25 is 25. You can't say.
Dude set the line, right?
You can't say to some guy, why are you doing it? He goes, well, fine, give me the money for the ticket and I'll leave. And he says, here's the money for the ticket.
Yeah.
You've set it up. That's not Joe.
You know what?
That's on you setting it up.
You called it. He answered it.
That's
you know
exactly
what I
right.
love, too? One of the things he said, not only you messing with my guy, you mess with him and affect him, you're messing with my bottom line.
That's exactly
How about
right.
that?
And he did. They actually did pretty well that week, and did a lot better though.
But how about if you're Tiger or any golfer and you're looking for your caddy for yardage, and he's back there, spitting face to face with some fan?
Yeah, listen, good for him. Oh wait, do we have an update on the Ferris wheel situation? You want to share it with us, Stanzik? Because you're the cinephile guy. Oh, thanks, Stanzik.
I don't have my headset on.
Okay, all right. Oh, so 1941, the Spielberg movie. Where they thought they were going to invade California, and there's a scene where the Ferris wheel goes off and it rolls down.
It's a movie titled 1941.
Yeah, it
stars
was a huge bomb.
Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi.
It's like the only bomb of Steven Spielberg's career.
Came out in 1979, so I did